Hey guys, what's up? This is your boy Rick Matsuko Terry here, back with another video, Journey to £1,000,000, episode 18, where we're talking about the middle class fly trap. It's been a while, guys, since I produced a video for you. Sorry about that. I'm in the middle of launching my first book, Minimum Wage Revolution, creating your desired life from the bottom of the ladder, and it's crazy. I'm busy as anything, on my promotion, selling while trying to publish the book. So thank you for bearing with me and keeping on with me. But today, really, I wanted to get into the fact that the middle class, is a fly trap. And there's something that was said to me a long time ago. Someone said to me, when the government taxes the population, right? They can't squeeze the poor because the poor don't have anything. Basically, the poor have nothing. Also, they can't squeeze the rich and tax the hell out of the rich because the rich are clued up and they know how to avoid tax. So they know how to get out of there. So do you know who the government taxes when they want to tax the population? Who ends up bearing the brunt of the taxation? It's the middle class. It's the middle class. And this got me thinking. So this is what today's one is about. Today's episode is about really challenging some of these conceptions we have about being in the middle class. Middle class is the target lifestyle that most of us have. Most of us want to be middle class. We want to live in a good neighborhood. We want to have a good house or two. We want to have a car. We want to have two cars. You want you to have a car, your wife to have a car, the nice car, send your kids to the best schools. But basically, we want to be comfortable, and that's what the middle class is about, being comfortable. But we want to be comfortable enough not to have to worry about money, which I think is an amazing goal. I think you should be that's a good target, but middle class is not going to get you there. And I'm going to show you this today. It's something I've had to learn. I was in the middle class, and I was just like, I thought I'd arrived. But after many years and I had nothing to show for it, I realized, wow, this is not the way I am. And now that, I've gone down, but I don't aim for the middle class anymore. I aim for rich, which is the whole point of a journey to £1,000,000, because I understand that middle class really doesn't do anything. It's not very effective when you're middle class. When you're rich, that's when you can effect change. And when you can achieve things, that's when you can actually move mountains. People, don't know that if you're in the middle class, you're simply a cow that is being fattened, ready to feed the national system that you live in. Most developed countries, they thrive on their middle class. The middle class are the ones who pay for all the all the welfare. They pay for the military budgets. They pay for everything. They just don't know it. What they're given in exchange is a comfortable life, and this notion, this kind of you're thinking, oh, maybe I've made it, but actually, you haven't. A case in point is the American dream. I am all for the American dream. I love it. That's one of my, I wish more countries had something like that. But if you're not careful and you don't know what you're doing, the American dream can be sold to you to the point where you end up selling your destiny to live this dream that will just get you to the middle class, where there are people who own the system. These people who own the national systems, the government, and they run the government, they run the businesses. They're the ones who really own you. So be careful, that they don't get you into their middle class fly trap. It's like a fly trap, the middle class. You see, when you're middle class, your disposable income and your debt, so both your disposable income that you have and the debt that you're in, is the lifeblood. That becomes the lifeblood that keeps the economy of your country flowing. When you are, the fact that you have, maybe you're earning £2,000, £3,000, £4,000 a month. So you're not in debt. You're not totally, you have nothing. You have some disposable income. But what they do is they get you on a very, very big mortgage, for example. They get you to be on a car finance on a really, really nice Jaguar, or they get you to get a large consumer loan, or to remortgage your house, to fit in a new kitchen, to fit in a new bathroom. And all this money that you're paying, keeps the wheels of the economy of the country going and going and going. Now, I'm not for anarchy and all that, but I totally believe that if some people are going to have to keep the economy going, let it not be you. Don't let yourself be the one who the economy of the country relies on you and is going on your sweat and blood. That's not the way. So who are these middle class people I'm talking about? Who are they? When you're let's define middle class. I define middle class as when you have a relatively high income. Let's say you're in a job like a doctor, an engineer, you're in a professional job, or maybe you're a manager, a middle manager, a top manager, director of a company. You live in a nice neighborhood and you work a relatively good job. This is what middle class is. But I want to show you that even, it's sweet on the surface, but the truth is, it is like a trap. And the fly trap. In a fly trap, the fly trap, it's a plant that is open like this, and it has amazing nectar inside it, and it's very attractive to insects. The insect gets attracted by the sweet nectar, it comes inside, and then the fly trap closes like this. And that's the end of that insect's life. And that's what middle class is like. That high salary, that comfortable lifestyle, that prestige that you have in the society, that you're middle class. That's the sweet nectar that they use to draw you in, and then they catch you in there, and before you know it, you are in a perpetual cycle of earning money, spending it, earning money, spending it, earning money, spending it, and before you know it, the rest of your life is dead, and you have not achieved anything of purpose. You haven't done much. You're just literally a cow that got fattened and was just, giving milk to everybody else. So, what are the traps of being middle class? I'll give you three proofs that being middle class is a trap. The first thing is that when you're middle class, there is a pressure to live a comfortable life with a nice house, a nice car, all the amenities, and being the one who's like kind of entertaining all your friends and family. That keeping up with the Joneses thing. There's a pressure, the pressure of being in middle class. You see, being in middle class, I was there. I got to a place where, I wanted to be known that, Rick is in a major IT job. So, Rick has to drive a car that's like this. Rick has to have clothes that are like this. So, Rick can't buy just a normal plain white t-shirt. Rick has to go and buy a designer, clothes and stuff like this. And that thinking will keep you in a place where, because there is that pressure, you end up unable to give up that lifestyle in order to pursue something bigger and maybe become a millionaire. Because if you want to become a millionaire, for example, you need a business. That's one thing. Or you need to invest in some things. You need to risk things. But you see, if you're caught with the pressure of living that middle class life, you are less willing to take risks in your life, to change anything in your life. The second proof that being middle class is a trap is that when you're middle class, the need then comes to work higher powered jobs to sustain your lifestyle. So you get into these high powered jobs. Let's say you become a manager of a factory. Now, let's say you are unhappy in that job as a manager of the factory. Maybe you want something else in your life. The problem then becomes that because you have now become middle class, because through your salary, you now pay for your wife's car, your kids are in a nice school, you all live in a nice neighborhood, you are not able to give up that job or to go for a lesser paying job because you have all this stuff. You are not able to follow your passion. You are trapped in these high powered jobs, and so you have to get a job that's either more stress or at least the same level of stress, because those are the jobs that are willing to pay you the salary that you have. I'll give you an example of when I was in IT. I was really working my mind and everything. Now, my mind is my greatest superpower. My mind is the thing that I need to do, all these content and stuff like that. But what I was finding is that as I spent 8 hours in this job, this high-powered job, when I got home at 5, 6 o'clock, my mind was just frazzled and fried every day. And I was never able to actually dedicate my mind to my passion. I just wanted to zonk out in front of the TV and chill. I had to always have that power job, and I needed to upgrade. It was always about upgrading. But that was using my brain and using my brain and using my brain. And what you find there is that if you want to use your brain to follow your passion instead, you are unable to do that because the pressure is there. There's a need to work these high-powered jobs more and more. And the third proof that being the middle class is a fly trap is that you'll be unable to step away to do anything that you want. Once you're in the middle class, you are unable to follow your path, your destiny, your hobbies, your interests. You cannot do what you want. You always have to do what the people want. You could never even do, you could never down your tools and move to, let's say, another country, for example. Because if you're in the middle class, let's say in America, your job is based on the American system. So you would never be able to do that in Zimbabwe because the Zimbabwe doesn't have the infrastructure of the American system. So you can only feed the American system. Whereas an entrepreneur could, with the resourcefulness in their mind, the mental resourcefulness that they have, they could start anywhere and recreate success. That's what a true entrepreneur does. That is the difference between a true entrepreneur and someone who's just in it for giggles. So I've showed you the three kind of ways that it's a trap to be in the middle class. So what does it look like to escape the middle class, to escape the trap? Someone who's escaped that trap has gotten out of the rat race. And what they have is they have significant cash flow, which exceeds their liabilities. If you ever get a chance, you need to buy a game that was created by Robert Kiyosaki called the Cash Flow Game. That game, it's like Monopoly, but it's a much better way. It helps you rethink about money because the whole point of that game is to get to a point where you have much more cash flow in your life than the liabilities that you have and the expenses that you have. And this is what getting out of the middle class becomes. Because in middle class, what you have is your income is going up as you're in the middle class, but you are also raising your lifestyle and you're raising your expenses and you're raising what's coming out of you. You're buying nicer cars, which are just liabilities, and you're defeating the whole point. So when you actually take away the expenses that you have from your income, you're actually in just the same way as if you were just a working class person, sometimes even worse. A lot of people just live on debt and credit cards, and that's all. Someone who's escaped the middle class is someone who can retain their money every month and resist raising their lifestyle with the increase in pay. Someone who's escaped the middle class, the trap of the middle class, can pick themselves up and take themselves anywhere to another location and do just as well. Someone can go like, wow, there's an opportunity in another city. I'm going to go over there and start again and do other things and build on what I've built. When you're middle class, you're stuck to the location. Let's say you work for Rolls-Royce and, you're at Rolls-Royce in Derby. That's where the big factory is. You can't move from Derby. You can't move. You can move around Derby, but you cannot go away. You cannot go to another city. You can't move away because you have to be there because you've shackled yourself to that middle class lifestyle. So to end this, I'm going to give you 5 tips. 5 tips to avoid the middle class trap. And if you like this video, make sure you like this page. I've got a new book coming out, Minimum Wage Revolution. If you like these ideas that I'm talking about, this book is going to be right up your alley because one of the things I talk about is how to use a minimum wage job, just like I'm doing now, to leapfrog the middle class kind of trap and get straight into the class of those who rule the world. Because we got to rule, and if we want to change things really, you've got to have significant money, and $1 million is a really good starting milestone. So here's some tips to avoid the middle class. First thing, retain your money. Learn how to retain your money. On payday, learn how to chill and just keep your money. It wants to be spent, but you know you retain it. Next thing, don't spend your money, but save it to invest. Savings are all good, but guys, if you're not saving in order to invest, then you're just saving the money so that it can be used by somebody else later on. The other thing, next tip for avoiding the trap of the middle class, don't listen to the voice of money in your ear. Money has a voice. Money wants to be spent. Kind of like the ring in Lord of the Rings that kept, enticing Frodo and everybody else who had the ring. That's what money is like. Don't listen to it. Money gives you dictates. Every time you have it, it's like, spend me, spend me, spend me. No. When you learn to sit and not listen to that voice and instead have real plans, solid plans on what you want to do with your money, you'll be much more successful. Another tip. Don't spend money that's tomorrow's money today. Don't spend tomorrow's money today. Don't squander your children's inheritance today. Don't try and live the lifestyle that you were meant to live, when you have made money. Try and live it today. Credit cards, that's what credit cards are. You're trying to live the lifestyle of someone who is much more successful than you are right now. No. Buy what you can afford. Live on what you can afford. Live in the house now that you can afford. Don't try and live in the house of 20 years from now, because it's going to come back and bite you in the ass. And, lastly, don't spend money on what you can do without. This is a big thing. Don't spend money on things that you can do without. Learn to be disciplined that way. And if you have listened to me before and you're seeing some of the earlier Journey to a Million, you would realize that what I've just listed are actually the 5 laws of money. And these are basically how to avoid the fly trap of the middle class. So guys, I thank you for your attention, and I hope you guys come over, register with us, like the page, like what I'm doing, comment, let me know. End of the month, minimum wage revolution is coming out. It's gonna be a nice low price for everybody can afford, and you need to get it. And thank you again. You guys have a great week. Bye.